All right, everyone, welcome to today's class. We're in for such a treat. If you don't know her yet, this is Lauren Duke. Lauren was introduced to us by one of our other amazing agents, JC Dykes. This is like our third session with Lauren, and every single one of them end up being something that I watch back. And so props to JC. Thank you for the intro, but also as a reminder, this is why we do what we do. And your connections are the people we want to be in community with. So if you know someone, please send them our way. Lauren is someone who used to manage high producing teams with tons of agents. And so she knows in real time what is happening in agents' businesses. And as we all know, it's so easy for us to feel like we're doing it alone and that everything relies on us. And if we want to scale our business, at some point that has to change, but it's hard to know where that even starts. And so today we're going to be talking about the 5 systems every agent needs to know and the one you're ignoring. And Lauren will guide you hand in hand through starting to offload some of those responsibilities so you can scale and hopefully have a little more peace while you do it. Lauren, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. I am so very excited. But quick question before we jump in. I want to know when the last time you had a Saturday or whatever day of the week is your favorite, right? That was actually yours and not just like oh, I need to catch up on paperwork, Saturday or whatever, not show houses because it's needed Saturday, but like one that was actually yours. If you cannot remember, then I'm super glad you're here today because I'm guessing that you did not get into real estate to work 7 days a week. I don't know, maybe you did. Um, you probably got in for the freedom and the flexibility that they lied to us about, right? But somehow your business became this beautiful prison that pays really well, but pretty much owns your entire life, right? So today I'm going to be sharing about the 5 systems that every successful agent needs and the one missing piece that keeps 99% of agents stuck, even when they think they have it all figured out. Like Kate said, I am Lauren Duke. I've had the pleasure of being a guest speaker for Choice Residential a few times now. And I'm truly, truly, truly not just saying this to like suck up to Kate and Brian, but you guys really do have some of the best agents. Worked with a handful of you one-on-one, and the passion and the dedication that you have to your clients and to your businesses, and honestly, like the community, everything, it's incredibly impressive. So good for you guys for choosing the best brokerage in town. Okay. Um, I am the former COO of a top 10 mega team where we did 3,000 transactions, recruited over 150 agents, and scaled to 21 locations across the US all in 4 years. And in that time, made literally every mistake possible, including not having the proper systems set up to support our growth. I now run Core Ops Collective, where we help agents avoid those same costly mistakes. And speaking of core ops, obviously social media growth is huge for everyone these days, myself included. So my media team was so kind to put these ginormous QR codes right here for you. So if you could go ahead and scan them to give us a follow, that would be fantastic. I'll keep them up for a few more seconds and tell you that here's what I'm assuming about your situation, right? Your business is growing, but it's completely dependent on you. And if you don't fix that, one of 3 things is going to happen. You're going to burn out. You're going to hit a ceiling where you literally cannot grow anymore because there's only one of you. Or something important is going to fall through the cracks and cost you a client or a relationship, right? But what is possible when you get this right? Imagine getting a text from a past client on a Saturday morning saying, "We're ready to sell. When can we meet?" Because your automated follow-up system kept you top of mind. Or imagine going to dinner with your family and actually staying present because you know your systems are handling that follow-up. Your clients know when to expect updates from you, and nothing is just gonna fall through the cracks because you put your phone down for 2 hours. By the end of this session, you're going to know exactly what systems you need, what's missing, and how to build a business that works for you instead of the other way around. So let's get going. Okay, so back to my first question. When was the last time that you had time that was actually yours? Your reality right now is that you're making good money, maybe even great money, right? Your clients think that you are amazing. Everyone tells you how successful you are, and you are, okay? But here's what's happening behind the scenes. You don't have systems, you have habits, you have routines, you have things that you do, but you don't have the documented, repeatable systems that are working without you. Think about it. When a client asks you for an update, do you have a system for that? Or are you just kind of figuring it out each time? When you get a new lead, is there a system that kicks in automatically, or do you wing it based on how busy you are that day? When you onboard a new listing, is there a checklist that ensures nothing gets missed? Or are you relying on your memory and hoping that you don't forget anything important? And what about that past client touch plan? Are you keeping in touch with them periodically or when Facebook tells you it's their birthday? Most agents are running their business on their memory or their mood or whatever feels right in that moment. And that is not systems. That is more like survival mode. Okay. Real systems are the documented processes that produce consistent results, whether you're having a good day or a terrible day, whether you're there or you're not, whether you remember or you forget, right? And without them, you become the system, which means your business can never be better than your personal capacity to manage every single detail. So every business runs smoothly. Every business that runs smoothly has these 5 core systems figured out. They're not perfect, right? Nobody's perfect, but they're documented and functional enough that other people can run them. And when these are built, you get to stop being the answer to every question. Work happens whether you are watching or not, and your business can finally grow without requiring even more of your time. So we've got the client experience. What happens at every touch point from that first contact to years after the closing? We've got the lead generation and demand system. How qualified prospects are finding you consistently. We've got your operations and your execution system, and this is how the work is getting done, how it's tracked, and how it's completed. The team and support system, how people know what to do and when to do it. And then everyone's favorite, right? The financial management system, how money is flowing in and out predictably. And most agents have pieces of these, right? But they're probably scattered across different tools or stuck in their head or the notes app on their phone or whatever, right? They're pretty much just inconsistent depending on how busy they are. And today I'm going to show you what each system looks like when it's working, give you a quick win that you can implement this week and help you see what's missing. But just caveat real quick, you don't have to build all 5 of these at once. Pick one, get it working, and then move into the next. But you need to see the bigger picture first. So, client experience. This is what's controlling what your clients experience from that first contact to years after closing, right? And right now, maybe your client experience is dependent on that mood or your memory or how busy you are. I know that you're delivering a great service. That's not the issue. The issue is that it's exhausting because you're recreating it from scratch every single time. Here's what I mean. When someone calls about a listing, sometimes you remember to ask all of the right qualifying questions. Sometimes you're rushing and forget a few. Or when you have a listing go under contract, sometimes you send a detailed timeline, or sometimes you just handle things as they come up, right? Your clients are happy either way because you're taking great care of them, but you are tired because every interaction requires you to think through what to do, what to say, what to send, all of that. So when you don't have a client experience system, every client interaction drains your mental energy because you are constantly figuring it out on the spot. and you're working harder than you need to because you're, again, reinventing the wheel all the time. Your service delivery is inconsistent. Sometimes you remember everything, sometimes you don't. You can't delegate client management because the process only lives in your head and you feel like you're always on because there's no framework to follow. Okay. So, what this system actually includes is a documented process for every major touch point. That first call, listing appointment, contract to close communication, communication schedules that you can rely on. So, like, hey, we update every Tuesday and Friday, closing timeline sent within 24 hours of contract, right? Expectation setting frameworks that work every time. The what happens when, who does what, how they hear from you. Service delivery checklists that ensure you never miss anything. So, the listing setup checklist, closing prep checklist, follow-up sequences that happen automatically. I'm talking about those like 30, 60, 90-day post-close check-ins. And then post-close touch plans for continued nurturing. The 36 or 72 or 18,000 touch points for your past clients, right? So your quick win this week is to pick one client communication that you handle different every single time. Like how you update clients during the contract to close period. I want you to write down exactly what information you share, when you share it, how you share it, turn it into a template or a checklist, and use it with the next transaction. And you'll see how much less mental energy it takes when you follow the same process every time. Your clients are going to get the same great service, but it won't require you to think through every single detail from scratch. And when your service delivery is systematized, you can provide amazing client experiences without it draining you. When everything is documented, you can train other people to come into your business and deliver your level of service without you being involved in every conversation. Um, there were a couple things that went into the chat, Kate. If there ever is a question, can you just pop in and read it? Thank you. Okay, so lead generation and demand. So this system ensures that you have the predictable flow of leads coming to you, right? Right now, your lead gen probably feels like you're constantly having to think of what to post, what to send, what to do next to keep your pipeline full, right? You're doing the marketing, the posting on social media, sending the emails, networking, but it's exhausting because you're coming up with all of it on the fly every time instead of having a system that works automatically. So when you sit down to, let's say, write a newsletter, are you staring at a blank page trying to think of what to say, or do you know? And when you get a referral, do you have a specific process for following up, or are you winging it each time? When your past client mentions at the grocery store that their neighbor is thinking about selling, do you have a clear next step, or do you just kind of say, oh, have them call me and hope that they actually do? Okay. When this system is missing, you spend way too much time thinking about what content to create instead of just creating it. And your marketing feels random. You're not sure what's actually working. You panic when your pipeline gets thin because you don't have a consistent lead flow. You're taking on clients you probably shouldn't because you're worried about where the next one is coming from. And you always feel like you're hunting for business instead of attracting it. And when you do have it, the you have a content strategy that you can repeat. And so you have the same types of posts that work. You're rotating topics that you can use over and over again. You have lead magnets that are working automatically for you. And I'm talking about those buyer guides, the market reports, the neighborhood information that attracts your ideal clients. You have nurture sequences that are educating leads while you sleep. And those are the emails that are going out from your CRM that are building trust and positioning you as the expert. You have referral systems that generate leads consistently. And so processes for staying in touch with past clients and referral partners. You are tracking what shows, you're tracking that business is actually converting from these different lead sources. And so you know which activities are bringing in real clients and what's just giving you like likes and comments on social media, right? So your quick win for this week is to audit your last 30 days of your marketing activities. So your social posts, your emails, your networking, whatever it is that you're doing, write down which activities actually led to conversations with potential clients and not just got the likes and the comments, but like actually had real business conversations over. Pick your top 2 performing activities and create a simple template or framework that you can reuse for each one. Okay. For example, if your newsletters get really good response and open rates, create the template and make sure that the call to action, or, if you have a neighborhood spotlight or whatever, make sure that it's in there every single time so that you can make repeatable processes from it. You'll start to see the patterns in what actually drives business versus what's just making you look good out there. And then you'll have those reusable frameworks instead of starting from scratch every time. Because when you have a system generating qualified leads consistently, you can choose your clients, you can be choosy with them instead of just taking on whoever calls. We all have gotten one of those ones that we're like, oof, I don't ever want to work with you again, right? You don't have to say yes to every single person anymore when you have that consistent lead flow. And you stop feeling desperate when things slow down because you know that more leads are going to be coming in. So, operations and execution. This is the system that makes everything else work behind the scenes. And right now, maybe your operations live in your head and they're changing day to day. You have a way of doing things, right? But maybe it's different every single time. Sometimes you remember all of the steps, sometimes you skip things because you're rushing, sometimes you follow up perfectly, sometimes things are falling through the cracks, right? When another agent refers a client to you, do you have a system to track that referral and follow up appropriately and make sure that you are thanking the person who sent it? Or do you handle it in the moment and hope that you remember to circle back with them later to nurture that relationship? Or when you refer a client to a lender or a contractor or whoever, do you follow up to make sure that they were taken care of, or to just kind of disappear from your mind? A fun fact, we had someone tell us on a webinar once that he lost $70,000 in 1 year from referrals that he didn't track. So if you take anything away from today, just please track your referrals so you don't lose $70,000. That's it. So when this system is missing, important follow-ups slip through the cracks because you're relying on memory. You're working long hours because you're inefficient, you're redoing things, or you're hunting for information. Your relationships suffer because you forget to thank people or follow up properly. You can't step away from your business because everything depends on your personal oversight, and you feel like you're always playing catch up instead of staying ahead of things. And when you do have it, tracking systems for important relationships and referrals that ensure nothing gets missed. You have documented workflows for repetitive processes so that they happen the same way every single time. You have automated reminders and follow-ups that happen without you thinking about them. You have clear systems that show where everything stands at a glance. So you have, a CEO dashboard that tells you, hey, you have 10 new leads and 8 of them are from this specific lead source, or hey, this is exactly how much money is coming into your pipeline because you're tracking it, right? Standardized tools and templates that save time on repetitive tasks. So team and support. This system is defining how your work gets distributed and completed, whether you have a team now or you plan to build one later. And a team, by the way, could just include you and like one part-time admin. So just someone else that you are leveraging to. But right now, if you have help, they probably are asking you questions all day. And if you don't have help yet, you probably don't know what you would delegate or how you train them. The problem isn't the people. It is that there's no clear framework for what they should do or when they should do it or how well to do it. And okay, here's what I mean. When someone closes a transaction, does your team exactly know what closing gift to send and when to send it or what note to include? Or do they have to ask you every time what would be appropriate? We need to standardize that, right? When it's time to send appreciation gifts to your referral partners, does your assistant know what the budget is? Do they know your preferred vendors and which partners get what level of gift? Or are you the one that has to plan and coordinate that yourself? If you are planning to hire, when you imagine bringing on help, can you picture what their typical Thursday looks like, what they'd work on, how they'd prioritize tasks, and what decisions they can make without you? So when this system is missing, you're spending a lot more time answering questions than your team is actually saving you. People cannot make decisions without checking with you first, so you are still the bottleneck. There was a quote I read from a book recently that said, most business owners confuse delegation with deciding, meaning they are just pushing that decision that they need to make to the next person because they say, oh, here, can you please go deliver this closing gift? But then that person has to turn around and say, okay, but what price point are we looking at? You know, you're just pushing that decision to someone else. So when you don't have this system, training new team members takes forever because everything has to be explained verbally. Work quality is inconsistent because everyone does things their own way. You feel like you're managing people instead of having people help you manage the business. And when you do have it, you have clear role definitions with specific responsibilities and decision-making authority. You have training processes that get people productive quickly without the constant questions. You have standard operating procedures for common tasks and situations. You have performance standards, so everyone knows what success looks like. Have you ever gotten into a job or role or whatever, and you had no idea how to win? It was like, man, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing here, right? No one likes that. And you have communication rhythms that keep everyone aligned without micromanaging. So, your quick win for this week for team and support is to write down everything you do in one full workday, every decision, every task, every question someone asks you, and then circle 3 things that someone else could handle if they just had clear instructions. Pick one of them and make a simple 3-step or however many step process for it. If you don't have team members yet, this becomes your foundation for knowing what to delegate when you do hire. If you have a team now, you can test that process with them this week. So this matters for your business because the right team system means people solve problems instead of just bringing them to you. And then you can go focus on those high value activities while the other operations are being consistently handled. Okay, now we've got financial management. So obviously, we all know what this is, right? This system is tracking how money is flowing in and out of your business predictably. And right now, you probably have money coming in from deals, money going out for expenses, and hopefully enough left over to pay yourself consistently. Most agents have no idea what it actually costs to run their business, and you cannot make smart decisions about investing in tools or investing in new marketing, activities, placing ads, whatever, or building a team because you don't know what you can actually afford. So here's what I mean. When you are thinking about hiring an assistant, do you know exactly how much you could afford to pay them based on current profit margins, or are you just guessing? And when you spend money on marketing, do you track whether that investment has actually generated you any business, or are you just hoping that it works. At the end of the month, do you know if you had a profitable month before you look at your bank account? Or are you sometimes a little surprised at how much or how little is left over? So when you don't have this system, you pay yourself whatever is left over instead of a consistent amount, because making personal financial planning, that just makes personal financial planning impossible, right? You can't plan for slow months because you don't know what your baseline business costs are. And you're making financial decisions based on gut feelings instead of actual data. You don't know which expenses are actually generating ROI and which are just draining your profits. And you're stressing about money because you never know exactly where you stand financially. And when you do have it, you know, this system actually includes like having separate business accounts and clean bookkeeping that shows real profitability, and profit first budgeting that ensures you pay yourself consistently before other expenses. You know the ROI on your major expenses like marketing and tools and your team. And you have cash flow forecasting that helps you plan for any slow seasons, and regular financial reviews that keep you informed and help you make those smart decisions, right? So, quick win for the week, do a 90-day expense audit. Print your business bank and credit card statements for the last 3 months, categorize them into 3 buckets, generates business, keeps business running, and really not sure why I still pay for this, right? Cancel or justify everything that's in that third bucket. You're going to instantly see where your money is going and identify at least one expense you can eliminate or redirect towards something more profitable. So when you know exactly what it costs your business to run and what generates profit, you can make confident decisions about investing in growth. And you'll be able to pay yourself consistently and never be surprised by what's in the bank account, right? Okay, so what is the one system that you're ignoring? You might be thinking, I do have some of these things, right? I use a CRM, I have checklists, I track my expenses, and you probably do. You probably have more than just some of these things, right? But do they all work together? Could someone else look at your business and understand how everything connects? The missing piece is integration of all of these. Having a bunch of tools is not the same as having systems. Having processes is not the same as having a real infrastructure. And having pieces scattered is not the same as having a business that actually works without you. So here's what I mean. Does your CRM automatically update when you get a new lead from your website? When a client closes, does that trigger your follow-up sequence and update your financial tracking and remind you to send a thank you gift? When you complete a listing checklist, does it automatically notify your marketing person to schedule your social posts? Or are you manually moving information between different tools, hoping that you don't forget anything? So when you don't have integration in your systems, you're spending time moving the same information between them, right? Things are falling through the crack because one system doesn't talk to the other. You can't get a complete picture of your business because data is just scattered everywhere. Team members can't access the information they need when they need it. And you're still the central hub because you're the only one who knows how everything connects. When you do have it, your marketing system feeds directly into your lead management. Your client management connects seamlessly with your operations tracking. Your financial system automatically captures data from your other systems. Your team can see the same information you see when they need to, and everything has a clear owner and nothing gets lost between the systems. So I want to ask you, could your business run for 2 weeks without you? And not just survive, but like actually serve clients well, continue to bring in new leads, do the communication process throughout transactions. If not, you are still the system that's holding everything together. So integration is what turns you from being the system into having a system. And when everything works together automatically, you become the CEO instead of the operator. So why most agents stay stuck, okay? You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You just saw exactly what needs to be built. You're stuck because you're trying to build the systems while also running a full business, right? You get busy with deals. System building gets totally pushed aside. Things start falling through the cracks. You jump in to fix everything personally. Now you're busier than before. Systems get pushed again to the side, right? You know you need them. You've even tried to build them before, but you can't protect the time to do it properly. So you end up with half-built processes that create more work instead of less, right? Oh, Kate, you have your hand up. I didn't see that.
I just
Sorry.
didn't want to interrupt your flow. It's okay. I just put it up recently. On the topic of systems and them integrating, Allison asked what tool you recommend for integration.
Well, it depends on what we're integrating. This is a much bigger conversation, Allison. What is it that what is it that you're trying to integrate? Like CRM into, a tracking database, or what is it?
Well, I'm a solo agent and I do everything, right?
Okay.
So, um, I have some things in place where some things move when I'm not there, but otherwise, everything's on me. So, I mean, obviously, the first thing that would come to mind is hire a person that would help do all the integration and help the systems talk to each other or be the communicator when I can't be.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have a specific answer. It's just as a solo person that does it all, where would be the first place to start?
Yeah. So, give me one of your lead gen sources.
Realtor.com
Okay. So when you get a realtor.com lead, where does it go?
to Bold Trail.
Okay. And then do you have anything that is nurturing them automatically within Bold Trail?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything that is reminding you to not just rely on those automatic emails, like telling you to call them or text them or anything?
Yes, Bold
Okay,
Trail has that all there and tells you what
perfect.
calls you're supposed to make and where you are in the processes of each lead.
Now, let's say you get in touch with that client. How are you making sure that they are on some type of pipeline tracker so that what they're going to be listing for or purchasing for and tracking your incoming GCI?
Well, within Bold Trail, I can set up an alert. And depending on what the conversations have been, if I've never met with the client, then I just usually set up a generic search based on whatever the property was that came in with the lead. If I've actually met with them and shown them property, then I oftentimes will encourage them to let me set them up on a search through the MLS because I'm in the MLS every day. I go into
Mhm.
Bold Trail a couple times a week, which I probably need to do more of. And so then it just depends on what search function I'm going to use, whether it's keep them on Bold Trail or put them up in the MLS.
But that's helping them get alerts for properties. That's not
Correct.
telling you, hey, I know that they're going to be, purchasing, they need to close before October 1st. So that's not telling you that you're going to be getting a certain amount of GCI prior to then, right?
Right.
Okay, so there's a third-party integration service called Zapier that I love.
I've heard of them. Yes.
Yeah, it pretty much can do anything you want it to do. So if you wanted it to take information from Bold Trail and move it over to a pipeline tracker in Google Sheets, it can do that. Then within Google Sheets, you can set up, okay, I had their listing alerts put on for 400,000. My average GCI is 2 points, or commission percentage is 2.75. We can have it formulate what your estimated GCI is.
Okay.
So that's one example of an integration. It's just using Zapier to get information from one place and put it into another.
Okay.
Yeah. I could literally do this all day. So if you keep asking me specific examples, you'll learn that I'm a really big nerd. Um, but yeah. And if you do have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them too. But if not, I will just keep going. So, anyways, you end up with half-built processes, right? It's creating more work instead of less. And if you are going to build all of these five systems properly, so documenting every process, creating every automation, connecting every tool, training every team member, I mean, you're going to be working on this for months, right? It's going to take a while because you have to have it all mapped out and you have to have a vision of what you want your business to look like. So, for example, solo agent, you have your CRM set up to automatically start nurturing leads. Do you also have it set up to nurture past clients? Do you have it set up to nurture referral partners? Do you have it set up to nurture not past clients, but sphere of influence? There's different branches of who needs to be nurtured within your CRM. Do you have a system set up that when that client from realtor.com that you put on your pipeline goes under contract, it alerts, it starts a task list of the things that you need to do on social media, like get the under contract post up or, you know, the transaction list of, hey, make sure you're moving it to pending on the MLS and things like that. Um, so like I said, I could go on forever. Yes, Allison.
Well, I think part of this is that, when you've been doing this for a while, all of this is just second nature, right?
Hmm.
And so we just kind of put our head down and work.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes we lose sight, and I know clearly I'm a victim of this, and I'm trying to work on this kind of in my future business plan, is how I can pick my head up and let the systems all do it for me. You
Right.
know, because you don't think about, oh, I got to order a closing gift as a task because it's just kind of part of what you're doing all the time, and changing the status in the MLS or whatever your listing is, it's just an automatic thing that we just kind of feel as part of our whole business and what we do as agents. And so, I think the biggest thing is changing that mindset and putting it all into systems that you can have it all done for you without just being the one to do everything.
And that's honestly harder than mapping it all out and getting the vision out of what you want it to look like is that realization.
Yes,
Because,
ma'am.
yeah, because when, like it's like making dinner, right? Like you know that you need to use all of these tools and the spices to make the meal that your family loves. And then going and trying to have someone new come in and you're like, oh, wait, it says here on this checklist just to use a pinch, but I use a little bit more garlic than just a pinch, right? Like it's the little things that you do differently that make you the agent that you are. That's what's hard to explain to someone else. And so that's why it's important, like as you're going through the transaction, or let's just talk about the closing gifts, right? Having it set up to say, hey, even broken down of, hey, if it was a $1.5 million buyer, that might be a little bit different of a closing gift than, 250,000. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Might be different for you. But whatever it looks like, just writing down all of those variables over time and it just becomes this, living, breathing, I don't know, lifeblood of your business.
And so
But
then that way you can step away and somebody can go into Zapier and see where each transaction is and what needs to be done next.
Uh, it wouldn't be done in there, but yes, you're on the right track.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Because, I mean, building the systems of the business is a full-time job, right? But then running a real estate business is also a full-time job, and trying to do both at the same time is where it's why most agents stay exactly where they are, you know? you're successful, but you're exhausted. You want someone else to come in and do this, but how? Right? And so, I mean, I'm really glad that you brought this up, Allison, because that mindset switch is exactly what is needed. You know, you can't build the comprehensive business infrastructure if you're not willing to just slow down for 2 seconds the next time you do it and say, okay, this is exactly how I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah. But as we all know, sometimes it's hard to slow down.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah. It's the whole like slingshot effect, right? You got to slow down and pull back in order to go forward. So, I'm actually going to be giving you guys a 5 pillars business audit. And so you can see which of these pillars is your business bottleneck, right? Um, Looking at all 5 of these systems at once is incredibly overwhelming, right? So we put together this business audit to help you figure out, whether you're running a business or just paying yourself to have the world's most stressful hobby. And what to fix first so you can stop feeling like you're constantly, you have your hands on every single aspect. Um, so it's free, obviously. But you also don't have to build this alone either because it's exactly what Core Ops does for you. We map out and we do a full business audit to figure out what's currently working, what's not, what's missing. We will go through, build, and organize those core systems based off of what your vision is. We strategize through, map it all out with you so that we can get all of these systems into place. So that is it. Kate, I am done. This is probably one of my fastest ones.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. A lot to
Thank
digest,
you.
and
I know.
um, it can feel overwhelming. I know you've said it a number of times in this, right? But the goal isn't to feel like you need to do all of it right now. It's just
Right.
to recognize opportunities for scalability and just start with one of them. So, you know me, I like to talk about kind of tangible examples. Allison brought up a few great ones. Because we have a few minutes, Lauren, if you're open to it, I think
Absolutely.
what I'd love to do is open it up and see if anyone here has a system that they want to use as an example, or maybe a question of how a certain system could use scaling like this. I know as Lauren was talking about each of those 5 pillars, she gave some examples quickly, but sometimes taking a second to get lost in the weeds can make it feel a lot more relevant to where you are. So, um, because we have time, feel free to unmute or pop it in the chat. We're here to be a resource to you.
Well, I'll
Go
go.
for it.
So if a solo agent wanted to start with one thing, just one, to help integrate their systems and have something that somebody else can look at and it's not in our all in our own brain or on our own Google Calendar, what is that one thing?
Well, you're going to think I'm trying to cop out of giving you an answer here, but what is most overwhelming for you right now? Or
Well,
do you just
now
want
the
me to
most
talk about do you want me to talk about a generalized solo agent?
Yeah, I would say, I think, because there's a lot of agents on this call that I see that we're all kind of solo agents, and I know we all sort of do it all ourselves. So let's just maybe take it a little bit more generic.
Okay.
Because what's going to be specific to me is going to be not be specific to someone else.
Yeah. I would probably say figuring out how to make sure that your client experience is repeatable. Because if you are going just based off of how I know choice, trains and all of that, probably past client referral, SOI, very community oriented. And so having that client experience so that, each person gets the same level of service every single time.
I would also love to add like just start documenting what you're doing, so like you said, you get a client and you add them, and eventually once you connect with them, you're adding them to MLS, right? Like that's something that you do. It makes sense that you would continue to do it. But at the same time, someone setting up an MLS search for you is something in the long run you could offload, right? And so using something like Loom where you're taking a video recording and it will pick up both your face and your screen and whatever you're saying, or using something like Scribe, which will literally take screenshots and list out the steps and make it into a PDF document. Something like that could be a great way to start just documenting what you're already doing because all of those are you just recording your screen while you're doing it. So it doesn't feel like as big of a hurdle to jump over to set aside time to like be like, well, I'm going to make a process for this. Like, well, this is how I set up an MLS search. And then you have just create a folder in your Google Drive titled SOPs, make subfolders within it, and do like a new buyer client, and then title that document setting a buyer up in MLS, right? And just kind of do that for each of the items. I think that makes it feel a little less daunting. And then once you've got a few of those in there, you can look back at that folder and be like, oh, it looks like the thing that I'm missing is making sure I list how we communicate with the attorney throughout the process or whatever the case may be. That's my advice.
Yeah, because I have throughout my 11 years, I've had some people come to me and say, "Hey, I want to work with you." And I always say, I don't even know where to begin with all that. And I have someone now again that is saying, "Hey, I want to work with you. How can we work together?" And I'm sort of searching on how to even begin that conversation.
So, do you have any, other than your website, do you have something on your website set up for lead capture there? You have a buyer guide, seller guide, community guides, things like that set up through some sort of email platform.
Well, I have just the generic website with Bold Trail.
Okay. So, let's say you have someone that comes to you, says, "Hey, I want to work with you to sell my home." Okay, great. I would love to get this process started. I have a bunch of information in my seller guide. You can grab it here, send them a link to a landing page, and then we have the system set up that sends them the email automatically, but then Zapier set up to put them into Bold Trail as well so that they can get the market reports and things that, you have your seller drip campaign started in there. So it's easier. You're giving them, a piece of information, a piece of value in there through the seller guide, and also making sure that that recurring campaign is happening.
So I guess I should have clarified. I didn't necessarily mean buyers and sellers. I meant somebody
Oh,
that wants to come in and work in my business with me.
oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want someone, you have someone that wants to come in the business and work for you. Say the question one more time. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, I've had some people that say, "Hey, I want to work with you," and I don't know if they mean as a buyer's agent, as a partner, or what. And I never take those conversations any further because I just don't really know what that looks like. And I think, Kate, you said it best to start documenting everything that you do. So you kind of got to start from ground zero, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have any sort of vision on what it would look like to have a partner within your business. And so that is sort of where I am right now in my business is because I'm spread very thin and I've been spread thin for 11 years and I'm starting to get worn down by it. So, um I guess the first thing I'm sort of answering my own question, and I apologize, y'all, but I think Kate is sort of nailed it. Is that your first thing to do is just start documenting everything that you do. And then, like you were saying, Lauren, about what it is that you can delegate then to someone else. Like, I don't need to set up all my MLS searches. That's something I could
Right.
delegate, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
identifying those actions or, tasks that would be easily delegated so I can be client forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And even some of the client, like especially past client facing things. If you have a past client checklist or, touch plan set up, and some of it includes, handwritten note cards, or it includes a quarterly pop by or things like that, having it written down in a repeatable format that says, here are the note cards we use, and they should be sent at these specific times. And here's pictures of the last 4 Popeyes that we did. Recreate it. Here's the budget for it. Here's the list of people that need to, use it. But then also that list of people that need to receive it, having it be like, okay, but then when someone closes, make sure that this gets updated so we don't just stick with this list forever. So just figuring out how they all integrate together as well. Yeah. But yes, I think you did answer your own question too. So, yep. Any other questions?
Well, JC had I don't know if anybody's reading the chat, but here's someone right here that uses Zapier and also Follow Up Boss. JC, are you still on?
I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear a little bit more about your processes that you're mentioning if we have time.
Yeah, I worked with Lauren personally on all of my systems and processes also, and she's phenomenal. And we actually started with me taking the time. I think we did like a 3 day of me writing down every single thing that I did, like by the 5 minute increment. And we would go through it together and like looking back at it, I was like, wow, this is insane. All the teeny tiny little things that I just have to remember to do, right? Instead of just automatically having half of them set up, but then the rest on Monday, which is our transaction tracker, which I can look at it and easily know, like, okay, this person needs to fill out their getting to know you form, and their birthday needs to go in the calendar annually for this date. And oh, in their contact, I need to write down their dog's names and their kids' names, and I need to follow them on Facebook, and I need to look them up on Instagram. It's like all of those teeny tiny little things you forget, and then your process changes time and time again, and no one's getting consistent service. But anyways, we use Zapier for a lot of our stuff. So all of our leads that come from a lot of different places, they get moved to the next appropriate place. I mean, all of them go to Flowdesk. And depending on where they come from, they get marked under different workflows or different groups of people. And we work in 2 different locations too. So it's really good to stay organized of who's our Wilmington clients, who's our Raleigh clients, and things like that. But we have everything just kind of funneled through, and every single person that has reached out to us from any location, whether it's Bold Trail, they're searching on our home search, or they're personally on our website and they sent us a note or trying to book a showing on our property pages. That all gets moved, zapped over to Follow Up Boss, and it's tagged to the correct person for who's the listing agent. Goes to Flowdesk and they're put on the correct form. So, I mean, a lot of these checklists, yeah, it's not just like set them up on an MLS search and don't forget you're working with real estate agents. Like can really be a lot deeper than that. And yeah, it helps. Like I'm going out of town tomorrow for 3 days and like I am not stressed about it at all, which has not been the case for a lot of my business. So it's kind of like a quick
Well,
little
and that,
overview.
JC, while we were working together, you brought on an admin, and because we started putting all of these systems into place, it made it really easy to notice when she was not performing.
Hmm.
And so it wasn't like 6 months later, you're frustrated because nothing's getting done that you might have mentioned in passing one time, or you hope that they caught on to. It was like, no, we need you to do this, 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 and this. And the job description had it all laid out. We knew the responsibilities of the role, and you are not living up to the level of expectation that we need. And so you gotta go, you know,
Gotta go.
gotta
Yeah.
go.
It's a lot of trial and error for sure. I mean, and no one is going to get it figured out in a week. Like Lauren and I worked together for a year, and I is I still look at processes and checklists and I'm still changing things and updating them because there's always a better way to do it, And as I'm going through business and as, my business is growing, the team is growing, like things are just constantly evolving and changing. And so I think like, just don't put the pressure on yourself to get all of it done in like 3 weeks. Like it's gonna take time. But the more you really pay attention to those little things you're doing, and like Lauren said, making sure we're tracking the referrals that come in. Where did they come from? Did someone recommend you on Facebook to this person and who is that person? Did you message them? Did they get a card? There should be different ways to track all of this so that even at the end of the year, you're sending out holiday cards or Valentine's gifts or whatever to everyone who sent you a referral, because that's your business. That's literally where you're getting your business from, right? So just knowing all of those little details, like we track all of our clients, like where they came from, who they were referred by, just a lot of that information. Because again, like Allison said, she's been in the business for 11 years. Like there's no space in your memory for that stuff. Like it has to be somewhere that you can look back and quickly know. And
Well,
even like
and
sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say with your leads thing, like tracking them, it made it really easy for us to be able to like integrate all of the 5 pillars of business by saying like, hey, JC, you're spending money on this lead source and nothing is being,
Mhm.
converted from it. And so what you cut out a lead source within like the first 2 weeks of us working together, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but also I did because I did cut you off. So,
No, you're good. Cut me off. All good.
but keep going. I don't know where you
Um,
go.
I don't remember where I feel like I'm rambling now, but I mean, even little stuff like we track, what the sales price was for a buyer's property versus what the appraisal value was, because we have had a lot of repeat clients like have come back really quickly. And it's really nice when they call to look back and be like, okay, you bought your house 15 months ago for 550, but here it says it appraised for 575, so we may be okay, and that it's just like easy conversation, right? Um, but also like when new leads come in, we have a really clear system of like before we get on a call with them, we have a Monday form that they fill out. So we like know what's the price point you're looking at, which lender are you working with, or will you need a recommendation, or what's something extra specific that you'll need, fenced in backyard or whatever, whatever, community pool. And we just kind of try to set ourselves up for the most success possible for then once they fill out that Monday form, then they get sent to Calendly where they can book, on our calendar. So it's like just those little things that you start integrating that just make the process a lot easier. And again, like Lauren has helped me with all of this. So, I will sing her praises forever.
And that's
Thank you for
exactly.
sharing. I just want to thank her for sharing. Thank you, JC.
You're welcome. Happy to.
But that's exactly what we do at Core Ops is like we will go through and sit with you. We have 2 different ways. We have our VIP day, which sounds incredibly intimidating based off of all the things that JC just listed off. But we have our VIP day where we sit with you for literally one whole entire day and we're getting what your vision is. And you're saying, hey, I want to have my past client touch plan look like this. And we're strategizing back and forth. And, when if I were to go and hire an admin, their onboarding needs to look like this. Like we're planning all of that out with you, but then we go and we take 2 weeks and we're setting all of it up so that like on a delivery day together, you're able to come back and be like, oh wow, my landing pages for my buyer guide and my seller guide and all of these things are set up and look at my pipeline tracker and my CEO dashboard and I can see where everything is, flowing to and from. And so the, Zapier automations from Bold Trail to Flowdesk and all of that. We'll set all of that up for you based off of your vision. So the whole building part afterwards doesn't feel so big. You're definitely still going to have to continue implementing and, you know, growing it, but it's a lot easier to have an admin come on board when you can confidently say, here are all of these things that are set up. I'm going to go work on this. Let's strategize to continue building this, you know?
Absolutely. I know we're right up against time. Jane, it had looked like you were trying to find unmute when we first started asking for like examples of things. Did you have anything that you wanted to ask Lauren about? You're on mute still. You're still muted.
Press the space bar.
Mm. I don't know, friend. Maybe put it in the chat if you've got something. Sorry. Huh. Anyone else have any questions they wanted to squeeze in? Well, Lauren is here to be a resource to us. Obviously, she is someone that you can hire and she will do all of these things and more. Oh, Jane said she's on 2 different logins and can't unmute. Ah, sorry. Well, I will be sure to include Lauren's contact info when we send out the recording. So if you have questions, feel free to just reply directly to her. She'll be one of the ones that's shown. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat real quick. Otherwise, we thank you all so much for showing up today. And Lauren, thank you so much for always being a part of our community and sharing your knowledge and
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
yeah. All right,
Yeah,
y'all.
and I missed the beginning, so this is recorded, so I can hop back on and listen to the beginning.
Always. You got
Okay.
it. Yes.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye,
Have a good
guys.
day. Bye.